How can the total be 5 when 7 males and 1 female are listed? 6. In summarizing a list of cities, Joshua 15:21-32 says, quote, "The cities belonging to the tribe of the people of Judah in the extreme south toward the boundary of Edom were Gabzeel, Eder, and many other cities I'm not going to list. In all, 29 cities with their villages," unquote. Again, somebody can't count because 36 cities are listed, not 29. 7th, another vexing problem is found in 2 Chronicles 21:20, which says, quote, now get this, 32 years old was Jehoram when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years and departed without being desired. They buried him in the city of David. And the inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in his place. So Ahaziah, the son of King Jehoram of Judah, reigned. 42 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, unquote. Notice anything incredible about this situation? If Jehoram began to reign at age 32 and ruled until his death 8 years later, and he died at age 40, 32 plus 8. Yet his son took over at age 42. How could a son, Ahaziah, be 2 years older than his father, Jehoram? 8th, Ezra 1:9-11 says, quote, "This is the number of them, 30 chargers of gold, 1,000 chargers of silver, 29 knives, 30 basins of gold, 410 basins of a second sort, and 1,000 other vessels. All the vessels of gold and silver were 5,400, unquote. Again, somebody can't add. 30 plus 1,000 plus 29 plus 30 plus 410 plus 1,000 totals 2,499. It's nowhere near 5,400. 9th, Joshua 19:2-6 says, quote, "They had in their inheritance Beersheba, Sheba, Moladah, and many other cities I won't list, 13 cities and their villages," unquote. One need only count the cities to see that the total is 14, not 13. Perhaps they had a defective abacus. 10th, beginning at Ezra 2:3 and ending at Ezra 2:64, we have a listing of the tribes that came back from the captivity and the number of people in each. We have the same listing beginning at Nehemiah 7:8 and ending at Nehemiah 7:66. It's important to note that Ezra 2:64 says in summation, quote, "The whole congregation together was 42,360. When one need only add all the congregations together to see that the actual number is 29,818, not 42,360, an error of 12,542. Nehemiah 7:66 also says the total was 42,360, but the actual total in Nehemiah is 31,089, an error of 11,271. 11th and lastly, Numbers 3:17 says, quote, "These were the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari," unquote. And all three of these led major tribes. Numbers 3:22 says, Those that were numbered of the Gershonites were 7,500. Numbers 3:27 to 28 says, these are the families of the Kohathites, 8,600. And Numbers 3:33 to 34 says, these are the families of the Merari, 6,200, unquote. When we add 7,500, 8,600, and 6,200, we see that the total of all three tribes is 22,300. Yet, the summation of these numbers found in Numbers 3:39 says, quote, all that were numbered of the Levites were 22,000, unquote. 22,000 is not 22,300. The obvious conclusion to be drawn from all we have discussed is that the Bible's math wouldn't pass an elementary proficiency exam. For a perfect book, it leaves a lot to be desired. In our next program, we'll proceed to strictly scientific inaccuracies. We'd like to conclude today by reading a letter describing the theological wanderings of a young man in Phoenix, Arizona. He says, quote, when I was a young child, I was forced to attend blank church every Sunday morning. We won't mention the church's name. There are no words to describe how much I hated this church and its empty religion. When I reached the 8th grade, I was told that I wouldn't have to go anymore. So I've never been back since, other than to attend my sister's wedding.